Today, all the mobile phone giants are fighting to sell as many phones as possible all over the world, and this war is merciless. When a new phone model comes out, thousands of users flock to buy it. However, there have already been several failures in the history of telephony. Indeed, some models of telephones intended to be sold have never seen the light of day on the market. You are probably wondering why, and it is exactly this question that we will answer today. Make yourself comfortable, because in this video, we'll tell you about the phones that have been banned from sale. Let's go. OnePlus. Let's start with OnePlus. For those who don't know it, OnePlus is a Chinese company based in Shenzhen in the Guangdong province of China. It specializes in the design, development, construction, and distribution of smartphones and mobile phones. Although not very well known, this brand is present in 42 countries around the world, notably in France, with the operator Bouygues Telecom and the Fnac Group, which have exclusive rights to sell it. The company's history is closely linked to Oppo, another Chinese smartphone manufacturer owned by the multinational firm BBK Electronics, since Pete Lau was employed there as vice president before founding his own telephone company called OnePlus in 2013. So barely a year after its conception, the Chinese brand unveiled its first smartphone under the name OnePlus One. This phone will only be accessed via an invitation to limit the risks that could impact the future. By the end of 2014, OnePlus claims to have sold nearly 1 million copies of its first smartphone for a turnover of $300 million. Promising figures and highly successful advertisers. Indeed, since that year, the brand has unveiled new and improved smartphones that are at the cutting edge of technology, adding new features and more power to its products. But the company, which is now considered the fourth largest seller of smartphones in Europe, has had to face serious controversy. Indeed, in 2017, it was revealed that the company OnePlus was installing a program in Android to fake the results in the benchmark hardware tests of its devices. In other words, the test versions of its phones contain code designed to manipulate the benchmarks to display maximum performance that end users will not see when using the device, which is obviously forbidden. But this is not the worst, since Pete Lau's company was later accused of spying and collecting data from its users without their knowledge. Indeed, in October 2017, an internet user examined his OnePlus 2 and discovered that it had a cookie that sent information to a server located in the United States about his use of the smartphone. This collected data would have been sent to a server belonging to Amazon Web Service, and OnePlus would not have kept its users informed. We wonder why. Upon further investigation, Chris D. Moore, the internet user in question, discovered that his device was sending data containing the serial number of his device, the names of Wi-Fi access points, geolocation, and MAC addresses. Not only that, the names of the applications used and the dates and times of use were also included in the transmitted data. So, he decided to alert the company for the first time via social networks but did not get satisfactory feedback. On the other hand, the curiosity of other internet users prompted them to look into the matter, and they discovered that the transmission of these data was in fact done through a module of the operating system soberly named OnePlus Analytics. It was, however, possible to remove this application using a command line, but this could only solve the problem temporarily. Faced with such accusations, the firm tried to justify it by stating, broadly speaking, that it only served to improve the user's experience and that anyone could disable this collection of information. This statement allowed the company to stifle the controversy for a while. But then the Chinese manufacturer found itself a while later, again facing similar accusations. This time, from the French developer and hacker Elliot Alderson, who denounced the dubious practices of the firm. On social networks, he was able to demonstrate that a system application installed by default on OnePlus devices was indeed transmitting data to the manufacturer every 6 hours. So, you're telling me that all phone manufacturers have to do this? Not at all normal. But the fact is, the volume of data transmitted by OnePlus phones is still very large, which inevitably raises doubts about the credibility and honesty of the company. Following the publication of the information, the users quickly expressed their anger. But in an attempt to silence the controversy once again, OnePlus has this time promised full transparency from now on in its next phones. Indeed, the Chinese company has announced that it will update its privacy policy to make up for its mistake of not informing users about this collection of information. It also said it would make several changes to its phones, including the integration of a menu to choose whether or not the user wants to join the data collection program, and a commitment to no longer store telephone numbers, MAC addresses, and Wi-Fi connection names, as was the case despite the significant risks to customers in the event of hacking of this type of database. OnePlus is expected to release its new OnePlus 8 phone as well as its professional version, OnePlus 8 Pro soon. These two models were announced online on April 14, 2020, and presented by the brand spokesperson. It remains to be seen whether the brand will keep its word this time around to stop collecting personal data as it has announced. The future will tell. And you should know that OnePlus is not the only brand of mobile phones that has been banned from sale. Other models of telephone giants have been banned for several reasons. Here they are. Ligu S8 and X4 Sol Mini S Allview. In 2019, other phone models were banned from sale in France, but this time it was not to protect the privacy of its users, but rather their health, since the S8 from Chinese manufacturer Ligu and the X4 Sol Mini S from Romanian manufacturer Allview emit waves that are potentially dangerous for the brain. Again, all phones emit harmful waves. However, these two models are known to have a higher than normal level of dangerousness. Explanations. According to the National Frequency Agency, the specific absorption rate of these two devices, i.e., the degree to which they emit waves that are potentially dangerous to human health, is too high compared to the European standards, i.e., 2 with kilogram at a distance of 5 mm from the phone, which is what you use when you stick it against your face to make a call. The Ligu emits 2.39 with kilogram and the Allview 4.6 with kilogram. The difference is obvious. Remember that the World Health Organization has classified as a possible carcinogen the intensive use of smartphones in general, in other words, more than 30 minutes of calls per day. So, what about these two phones? And the answer is ready-made. The National Health Agency suggests a possible increase in the risk of brain tumor, in the long term, for intensive users of these two devices. To remedy the problem, the National Frequencies Agency first issued a formal notice to the respective manufacturers of these two devices but was not satisfied with the response. Following this silence, the agency found no other solution than to call back the equipment and ban its sale. Blue smartphones banned on Amazon. Another case of mobile phone espionage, and this time it was the Blue brand that was at the center of the controversy. In 2017, CryptoWire, a company specialized in cybersecurity, discovered that phones of the American brand Blue were under the influence of Chinese spyware and therefore announced it publicly at the Black Hat conference held in Las Vegas at the end of July. And the first to ban the sale of these phones was the American online trading company Amazon. CryptoWire discovered the deception when it caught Shanghai Adupts Technology, the company behind the spyware, retrieving data from American phones on Chinese servers. The spyware was used to remotely control the phone, record messages and calls, and retrieve other data from the infected device. Once the data arrived at the Chinese server, it was impossible to know what happened to them and what it was used for. After receiving the news and making sure it was true, Amazon decided to suspend the sale of Android phones from the Florida company Blue on its platform. The site had stated that the safety of its customers was very important to it, and for this reason, it had decided to suspend its collaboration with the Blue brand pending resolution of the problem. In response, Blue denied that its phones were infected with spyware, and argued that the data collection was standard and fully respected the privacy and security of its users. Huawei phones banned in the United States. In 2018, there was a dispute between the United States and China, and for a good reason. The largest telecom equipment manufacturer and world number 2 in the smartphone market, Huawei has been banned from sale in the United States and was also in the sights of several other countries around the world. Huawei is one of the biggest mysteries in the telecom industry today. The Chinese giant has been a pariah in several countries, most notably the United States. The heart of the problem with Huawei lies in its alleged proximity to the Chinese government and fears that its equipment could be used to spy on other countries and companies. For this reason, the United States has banned companies from using Huawei network equipment as early as 2012. Let's recall that 8 years ago, in the last months of the year, several countries followed in the footsteps of the United States and banned the use of its telecom equipment. This is one of the reasons why Huawei's smartphones are practically invisible in the United States despite their massive presence around the world. Indeed, The House Intelligence Committee, the commission which supervises the American intelligence agencies, accused the Chinese equipment manufacturers Huawei and ZTE at the time of threatening national security, which led to their ban. Therefore, banned network equipment from the general public, but not Huawei products such as telephones, tablets, or watches. But 8 years later, smartphones were banned in turn. And if today Huawei is excluded from the United States, it is mainly for fear of espionage, according to the American intelligence agencies. The authorities consider that Huawei, founded by a former engineer in the Chinese army, is in the pay of the government. For some, this ban would disguise a growing fear of the American authorities regarding Chinese investments. So, what do you think of these phones that have been banned from sale? Do you think it was for a good cause? Tell us what you think in the comments.